Western superpowers, especially France and its European allies together with the United States, have been utilizing countries like Nigeria and regional organizations like ECOWAS as tools to impose control over African nations in recent times. They have been exerting pressure and have even made military takeover threats. Abdourahmane Tiani, the leader of Niger, decided to remain silent in the face of these difficulties. Unbeknownst to the rest of the world, he was formulating a daring plan that has the potential to rock continents. Tiani burst, unaffected by the prospect of invasion. However, he is about to reveal a more significant maneuver that would damage France and even the Western Bloc in a way you could never have predicted. What possible effects might this have on Europe's long-standing prosperity? Watch till the very end of the video to see Niger's groundbreaking maneuver that is altering history as we know it. Alright, let's go. Please remember to hit the subscribe button for more thrilling videos before we move on. The political climate in Africa is witnessing a historic upheaval in an unparalleled turn of events. Western powers always turned to coercion to keep hold of any African nation that dared to challenge their domination. Niger, though, is rewriting the playbook this time. Following a big coup in Niger, European countries, especially France, were eager to undo this development because they thought they could use every tool at their disposal to gain influence. They overestimated Niger's geopolitical position and its potential to have a substantial impact on Nigeria, ECOWAS, France, and Europe, even going so far as to threaten military action to overthrow the coup. Niger's military junta took a daring step by focusing its first retaliatory action on Nigeria, which it claimed was a puppet of the West. This was especially true under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership, who had planned and sought parliamentary support for a military invasion of Niger. Nigeria, the main destination of Niger's liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, exports, is immediately impacted by the country's announcement to suspend all exports. This announcement marked a dramatic change in the two countries' relationship, coming after they agreed to import petroleum products in 2020. It is a calculated move on the part of Niger to give its local LPG requirements priority over exports. The nation intends to utilize its excess LPG for domestic purposes, in line with efforts to lessen dependence on fuel subsidies and tackle transportation issues. There are noticeable immediate repercussions in Nigeria from the restriction of LPG exports. There is a home problem as a result of the LPG price explosion. Variations in foreign exchange rates and the dynamics of the global market are blamed for this price increase. President Tinubu of Nigeria is pushing for a method to meddle in Niger's internal affairs, possibly involving a military intervention, which is putting Nigeria's susceptibility to foreign supply shocks at the center of this growing tension. As tensions rise in the region, the West African regional bloc finds itself in a difficult position as it must strike a balance between maintaining regional peace and respecting the sovereignty of its member nations, even as it considers military involvement in Niger as a last choice. Nigeria abruptly stopped providing Niger with energy. This calculated move was meant to put pressure on the leaders of the most recent coup in Niger. In the meantime, military chiefs from West African nations met in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, to discuss possible countermeasures. At a crucial turning point, their meeting took place just as a delegation was arriving in Niger to begin negotiations. Russia's warning under junta control, Mali and Burkina Faso have issued warnings that any military action in Niger would be seen as an act of war against them. In Niger, Russia has demanded an immediate national conversation and issued a warning that threatening to intervene would just heat things up. Any military action in Niger would spark a protracted battle and destabilize the entire Sahel area, the Russian Foreign Ministry warned. France considers us to be naive. For weeks, hundreds of demonstrators have been encamped outside a French military facility in Niamey, preventing supplies from getting to the soldiers stationed there. The demonstrators stage a sit-in for prayer on Fridays. Imam Abdulaziz Abdoulaye Amadou tells the throng to be patient in the sweltering midday sun. According to him, Niger's divorce from France will take time, just like a divorce between a man and a woman does. The effect of Russia. Western nations are concerned about Russia's growing influence in the area as French forces withdraw, especially given the Wagner Group's mercenaries, who are employed by one of President Vladimir Putin's allies. A logistics team sent for this reason will complete France's military disengagement, including the transfer of resources and equipment. according to a statement from the Burkina Faso army. A security source in Burkina Faso claims that the majority of the French soldiers have already departed. A French army spokesman declined to comment when asked when the last soldiers would actually leave. Colonel Adam Nere, the chief of staff of the Burkina Faso army, presided over the end of operations ceremony on Saturday. Lieutenant Colonel Louis Lecasseur, a French officer, led the 400 Special Forces troops deployed in Burkina under a task force called SABRE. The ECOWAS regional group upheld its sanctions against Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea on Sunday. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea are three unstable countries in the Sahel. Following military takeovers in 2020, the three unstable countries were suspended from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. AU Commission head Moussa Faki Mahamat said the Pan-African organization needed to consider new tactics to thwart the erosion of democracy during a speech at the African Union Summit on Saturday. He went on to say that sanctions put in place against member states after they had unlawful government transitions don't seem to be having the desired effect. Proponents of the coup, some holding Russian flags, staged protests close to a French military post near Niamey in response to these events. With slogans denouncing ECOWAS and France, they expressed their displeasure. It seems as though France isn't firmly planted. This change in the balance of power is especially relevant in light of France's involvement in trying to overthrow the coup in Niger, which has brought attention from not only France but also other European countries. Furthermore, the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline, TSGP, is a continental priority due to its relevance, which spans throughout Europe. This has created interesting political dynamics, as Italy's position illustrates. Giorgia Meloni, a prominent right-wing politician and Prime Minister of Italy, has publicly attacked France's policy in Africa. An increasing divide in Europe is highlighted by her charge that Burkina Faso's exports, which go into the French purse, are part of France's exploitation of African states. The EU has been shaken by Niger's simple suggestion of suspending the TSGP, highlighting Europe's vulnerability in this unusual situation, where the energy security of Europe is closely linked to the actions of an African country. This represents a reversal of the historical power dynamics whereby European powers dominated African states. As a major participant in the TSGP, Niger now has a lot of power since it may potentially put an end to ambitions to supply Europe with gas and oil. In addition to reiterating its stance, Niger has raised important queries about the workings of international energy politics. Is Burkina Faso going to give up? According to a letter from the Foreign Ministry seen by Reuters and Agence France-Presse, AFP, Burkina Faso has charged 3 French diplomats with subversive activities and given them 48 hours to leave the nation. The claims made against the expelled diplomats, Gwenel Habouzi, Hervé Fournier, and Guillaume Reza-Cher, were not made public by the Burkina Faso administration. According to a person with first-hand knowledge of the matter, as reported by Reuters, their expulsion was brought on by talks they had with leaders of civil society. France denounced the action on Thursday and stated in his speech that the Burkinabe authorities' choice lacked legal justification. A spokesman for France's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Christophe Lemoine, stated that we can only express our regret over it. He declared that the accusations made against the 3 were baseless. Severing bonds with France-Burkina Faso's military administration has distanced itself from its previous colonial power, France, since seizing power in a coup in September 2022. It has also suspended certain French media, driven out French troops, and accused French officials of spying on multiple occasions. The journal Le Monde disclosed that 4 French officials bearing diplomatic passports were detained by Burkinabe authorities in the country's capital, Ouagadougou, and accused of spying. Security sources in Burkina Faso believe that the officials, who France claims were employed as IT support staff, are under house arrest. A year prior, in December 2022, Ouagadougou had similarly dismissed 2 French nationals who were employed by a Burkina Faso corporation on grounds of spying. Burkina Faso is struggling to keep rebels affiliated with Al-Qaeda and ISIS, in check. And as relations with France worsen, it has been looking more and more to Russia, Mali, and Niger for security support. Since the junta is imitating Mali, analysts said the removal of the French envoy was not surprising. The question now is if Russia would increase its influence in the area. As an associate fellow at the defense and security think tank Royal United Services Institute, Samuel Ramani predicted that this will clearly sharpen polarization among West African countries between the states that are opposed to the junta's policies and those that want to transition towards democracy. Do you believe that Niger's calculated actions will tip the political power dynamics in the world's energy system? Will this be a turning moment in the way that European powers and African states interact? Tell us in the comments section below for a deeper look at world politics and economics. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you in our next video.